Namaste. So we come back to Sri Aurobindo's The Life Divine again for more light, knowing that his experiences form the basis of his philosophy. He does put into rational form his perspective about the universe, where it comes from, where it's going, what our place is in it. We were going to make some distinctions this evening between what is a manifestation and what is a creation, because this is fundamental to Sri Aurobindo's perspective about the universe. A manifestation, from the Latin viges, manifestus, from manus, the hand, and maybe fendere, to dash against, thus to feel out with your hand, to make clear, fishing behind, bringing something out, to make it clear or easily seen, to reveal. That seems to be what the word means. Manifest clearly means that. To make it clear, to make it easily seen, to reveal. Sri Aurobindo preferred, as I've mentioned to you before, the Chambers Dictionary to the Oxford, but both drive at the same thing. A manifestation is an act of disclosing what is dark or secret. Creation is a term that we go to creare and atum. Create means to bring into being, to cause to exist, to form out of nothing. Sri Aurobindo would agree with the theists that God, if you want to limit the unknowable, all-transcendent being to simply a personhood, is an unlimited being. Theists believe that. God would have aseity, that is to say, self-existence, would come from himself. And let's think about what the predominant theistic religions are, obviously, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We also have in Madhvacharya, in the stream of Vedanta in India, a kind of theism as well, in that God is separate from the creation. Theists assert that God creates everything, worlds and beings and people, out of nothing, creatio ex nihilo, the summoning forth of the universe into existence. That implies that God and the creation are absolutely distinct. They don't overlap. And that the created realm, our world, is absolutely dependent upon God. What is created is dependent for its continued existence. One does not have a natural right to be here. If you're permitted to be here, it's an act of deliberate grace from above. Sri Aurobindo does not adhere to these views. We have seen that his experience, an inclusive experience, an all-embracing experience, envisions that the infinite being of the divine promotes itself into universal expression through its power, through its knowledge, through its innate delight, first into the universe as a movement of concealing involution, and then as a revealing evolution. But always it is the divine essence which is entering into the field of manifestation. In other words, the universe, its creation, if you want to call it one thing or the other, is absolutely saturated with the secret divine existence. This is not simply a world reality, it is also true of all the individuals. Each individual is the universe looking at itself, is the divine looking through that individuality at the universe as a whole. No exclusivity whatsoever. There is differentiation, but not distinction. Is that the way I want to say that? Not isolation. Our sense of isolation, one from the other, is a mental phenomenon and has nothing to do with the foundational experience one can have in a cosmic realization or in the realization of the divine more generally, in which all is felt as unity, as a vast harmony. This is the experience that Sri Aurobindo had back in 1908, 1909, 1910, all before he moved to Pondicherry. When he came to Pondicherry, he began a kind of yoga that would unify all the various strands of existence, bring together the warp and the woof, and make sense of the world, show that it has a direction, that there is a purpose. It is not on the surface to see. One has to work to get to it. One has to unravel the knot of the mystery. One has to solve the cosmic riddle, not through mentation, not through logic, not through science, but through the soul's emergence. So, individuality, cosmicity, transcendence are three terms which ultimately include the other and embrace the other. He posits, then, a universal manifestation, a making clear of what is potential, of bringing into actuality. A reality that has become not simply divine and transcendent, but has entered into the universal fields. It is beyond mental reckoning and philosophic certainties, and it develops across the ages, epoch to epoch, along uncountable routes, R-O-U-T-E-S, and over unvisionable years, if that's a word, and reveals slowly what exists at its core, darkened, involved. And to Sri Aurobindo, this uncoiling is done in a process that we commonly call evolution. It makes what was concealed plain. It makes it manifest. Evolution of form and consciousness is not a straight line. And built into the beginning are all the essential poises and powers of divine being, of consciousness, of force, of bliss. They are, so to say, hidden within. They are forces too, remember, not simply attributes, so they are themselves empowered, and in the universe aren't there simply to lay about, but they enforce their expression. They demand to come to the front, to be released into dynamic action. And so that expression in the universe, again, is a manifestation. It is not a sudden creation out of nothing. If anything is created, it is a something within a larger something. Not a vague somewhat, but an undefinable supreme existence, an unknowable beyond all definition of existence. Whatever is here secretly contains that essence and always stands upon it. So if we are going to understand that, to stand upon that, we have to have the experience of it. We have to enter into the forms that are here. We have to live in them, experience them, and find out what they signify. If we're going to unravel the cosmic riddle, understand what is going on here, and not simply accept it as an article of faith, but have it throb within us so that we vibrate with that truth and we are encouraged. Literally, courage is poured into us so that we can go forward against all the enormous cosmos, athwart all that power and vastness. If we're going to succeed, we have to know that we are, in a sense, part of the eternal, that we have these powers of a right inside of us. These don't appear all at once. We have, in a sense, to tickle them forth. We ignite that flame of aspiration, or is it already ignited in us? As Sri Aurobindo says in his opening chapter, this is unquenchable. This comes up again and again, age after age. Our aspiration to rise to the pinnacles, to achieve what seems to be impossible. He points us to the discovery and the realization of immortal principles which exist right here in matter. If we want to solve any problems, they are always immediately before us. Tactile, discoverable. Maybe a glimpse here, a glimpse there comes in a spot, an illumined spot, a sudden flame, or a trickle, if you like to think of things in terms of the movement of water in a flood. But generally, there is a discernible general order that marks our path forward. Involution precedes, evolution follows, and with increasing speed. Once we found our way, if we're in a canoe, it becomes a raft, it becomes a larger vessel. If we're a spark, we become a flame, we become a fire, and our aspiration grows. And hopefully we don't get married to any particular symbol or tool in our lives, because all of them are meant to whet our appetite for spiritual expansion. Not for dominion, but for greater and greater uniting experience. So from below, elements arise in us from a seeming sleep. They've been not dormant, but waiting their hour. And from above, powers awaiting our attention descend from unsuspected planes and get organized within us, because all that is in the cosmos is secretly already in us, and somehow a conversation has to begin. There is a conversation not overheard by the eavesdropping philosophic mind, but deeper within, our subliminal being aspires to and reaches first inwardly those higher planes above us, begin to connect, teguments form, connections get more and more solid, and a descent from above occurs, and a nexus is formed in the living flesh, and a higher principle takes root in us. And so it will be, not simply with an aspiration to higher vitality or to the mind and into the reaches of greater vision beyond mind, but it too will happen as we aspire towards the supramental, that which transcends the mind. So, what is the demand? Always the same thing. Aspiration. Aspiration, our furtherance, our refusal to quit, is what delivers us to the peaks of perfection. By overcoming the apparent impossibility and by annulling the negation that the universe confronts us with. So we belong both here and there. Hailing from above, we are inherently endowed with divine conscious force and can and must progressively manifest our secret riches. Bring him to the front. Bringing into expression beauty and truth and goodness. It is our sovereign right. It is our sincere responsibility to evolve so. Not linearly, nobody can do that, but eventually. Sometimes we have to circle around, go back and catch something that we left. And once having gained it, move forward again. This can happen in a trice. It can happen over 1 trillion years. We're not counting the years. We're counting the felt advance. That's what matters. Defeats and discouragements ultimately fortify and force us to transcend old limits. It's good for us to lose from time to time. We learn much from it. It's good to meet a reversal. It reminds us of how deep perhaps the inconscient is, but we know that if we can drive ourselves deeper, if empowered by our rising to a greater height, we can dive deeper towards the very root of the cosmos, that we will find there too the light that we've been talking about. The omnipresent reality is also there, filled with light at the very base. There is no eventual darkness. There is no all-conquering darkness. It is not light versus dark, except in this inning of universal evolution. This period of suffering, antagonisms, etc., only exists when we believe that we belong to the past. Let us outgrow it. Let us ascend. Nature reveals a profounder method to seal the ascent, our growth beyond. And the deliberate ascent of consciousness, breaking the borders of the well-known, is what we would call an integrating yoga. marrying the rediscovered spirit above and within to a fully empowered material vehicle. We are not rejecting the body. The negating refusal of the ascetic has a place temporarily to secure the victory of the awakening spirit so that it can know what it is essentially. But once known, we have a right and a duty to return to the field of materiality and bring that luster into its very fibers, into the sinews of the body, to illuminate so far as we're capable. We find again and again that we don't have the power to fully light it up because our ascent to the supreme light is not complete. We have begun the journey. We have to continue the journey. So, steadiness, steadfastness to the goal. To know what one is in our essence, to have a felt unification with the psyche is a beginning. To become the psyche flowering is a furtherance. That psyche flowered, reuniting with its high self, with that eternal portion above, which is always gladly guiding our steps, the Jivatman, the central being. This is what empowers us to make the rest of the ascent to the supreme light of the supramental. That we must do. There we find not simply the keys to the kingdom, but the innate tools within ourselves to effect the transformation. We don't have to ask how anymore, or what is the means by which we do it. We know instinctively when we get there. It is something that simply awaits us getting to that peak of consciousness. But back to our original question about the cosmos and its appearance here, if you will. It's true. The divine is not bound to manifest a cosmos. But neither can it be bound not to manifest a cosmos. It has done so because it wishes to do that. It is a play of delight. And as Sri Aurobindo said in that opening chapter, it seems always necessary to the divine to return into manifestation from an unknown reservoir of being again and again and again. The universe comes and another effort begins. He begins Savitri with just such an image. It was the hour before the gods awake. Across the path of the divine event, the huge foreboding mind of night, alone in its unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched immobile upon silence marge. It's an experience of what is about to occur. The dawn is going to stir the wakefulness, the movement forward, the universal expression, the manifest light. So, we can expect that as in the universe, so with ourselves, since we are all cognate with each, yes? The transcendent is expressed in the cosmos. The transcendent is expressed in the soul, which becomes cosmic. So, our deep experience is to move forward, resonating with the divine's abiding intent to manifest from its absolute freedom, to produce God in the body, to remold the vehicle to reflect the powers and persuasions of the divine. The universe uses our inner contact with the world, with its forces and its darkness, to draw forward a spark in response. Make that spark a manifestation of the soul from behind, so that the soul, moving in the universe, manifests what is, to quote Sri Aurobindo, from the first occult within it, is the whole hidden trend of evolutionary nature. Way Forward in the Life Divine, page 686, if you want to look it up and see it more fully. If the soul can manifest, if the divine working through the soul can manifest life and mind in a material world, why can it not manifest awaiting supramental reality if conditions for its appearance are met? We are the conditioning force to prepare the earth for the advent of that consciousness. If we have not achieved the supramental yet, it doesn't mean that we aren't doing significant work in preparing the field for its eventual appearance. Every hour is important. This hour of preparation, too, has significance. We have an appetite for haste. And our current culture is no different. You know, we are not cooking in a microwave. We are not stirring instant coffee. Slowly, tentatively, Sri Aurobindo suggests to us, nature begins to manifest our occult parts. What is this? These parts that are hidden, that are deep within, as they come floridly into view, bring into the universe beauty, glory, and we enter realms golden and true. Sri Aurobindo, writing late in the book, has these lines, not the very end, but proceeding towards it. He says, "It is our spiritual destiny to manifest and become that supernature. For it is the nature of our true self, our still occult because unevolved whole being. A nature of unity will then bring inevitably its life result of unity, mutuality, harmony. An inner life awakened to a full consciousness and to a full power of consciousness will bear its inevitable fruit in all who have it. Self-knowledge, a perfected existence, the joy of a satisfied being, the happiness of a fulfilled nature." That's on page 1072 in your copy if you're reading the collected works of Sri Aurobindo. So, I think we'll take up a somewhat different theme next time. But let's close with a few lines from Savitri. And this is where Savitri meets Satyavan. But let's remember that in a sense, this applies to everyone, whatever is the nature of the relationship, we are relating back to the Supreme. And each linked symbol speaks to what is possible when unity exists. So we're going to start on page 397. In these great spirits, now incarnate here, love brought down power out of eternity to make of life his new undying base. His passion surged a wave from fathomless deeps. It leaped to earth from far forgotten heights, but kept its nature of infinity. On the dumb bosom of this oblivious globe, although as unknown beings we seem to meet, our lives are not aliens, nor as strangers join, moved to each other by a causeless force. The soul can recognize its answering soul across dividing time, and on life's roads absorbed, rapt traveler, turning, it recovers familiar splendors in an unknown face. And touched by the warning finger of swift love, it thrills again to an immortal joy, wearing a mortal body for delight. There is a power within that knows beyond our knowings. We are greater than our thoughts, and sometimes earth unveils that vision here. To live, to love, are signs of infinite things. Love is a glory from eternity's spheres. Abased, disfigured, mocked by baser mites that steal his name and shape and ecstasy, he is still the Godhead by which all can change. A mystery wakes in our inconscient stuff. A bliss is born that can remake our life. Love dwells in us like an unopened flower, awaiting a rapid moment of the soul, or he roams in his charmed sleep mid thoughts and things. The child God is at play. He seeks himself in many hearts and minds and living forms. He lingers for a sign that he can know, and when it comes, wakes blindly to a voice, a look, a touch, the meaning of a face. His instrument, the dim corporeal mind, of celestial insight now forgetful grown, he seizes on some sign of outward charm, to guide him mid the throng of nature's hints, reads heavenly truths into earth's semblances, desires the image for the Godhead's sake, divines the immortalities of form, and takes the body for the sculptured soul. So, spring is here.